First of all, man, it's great to be back. Coming off a bye, much needed bye with this football team. Delaware is our opponent this week. A really good football team. Coach Carty and that group are a really good football team. Just watching the tape and having had a chance to watch a couple of their games over the last couple of weeks, you see a football team that plays extremely hard. They're physical, led by their quarterback, man, who is pretty dynamic, man. He does some really good things. And what we had to look at besides Delaware was just really us. Most of our time during the bye was spent on us. Just making sure, man, that we can fine-tune some things. We looked at where we were in statistical categories because that tells you, like a lot about where you are. But the self-scout piece was super important for us. And I think what we were able to find as we were watching them and then watching us and evaluating us was that the opportunity is there on the back end of this. But a lot of things had to change, and we needed to gain the 10% in critical areas, whether we talked about turnovers, penalties, red zone efficiency, third down. All these things were things that we've talked about before, but we were actually going to have an opportunity through practicing to sort of work on this. And this was good for our guys because they had a chance to not only work on it, but they had a chance to watch, like a little bit of college football and see how college football is being played right now. And I think that's important too, because sometimes when you're in it, you're not watching as much of it. But as our guys watch football, I thought you start to see the look in their eyes a little bit about how we were doing things and where the loose change that I always talk about is. And it was just good to be in those meetings. So excited to get back to the ball. And when you talk about, again, this Delaware team, they're going to be formidable. Okay, you got to play at their place. Their place is not an easy place to play, all right? And the home field advantage rings there. We haven't won there. I don't believe the last time we played them was 78, I believe, which is a long time ago, right? So
I wasn't there.
yeah, I mean, I wasn't there either. So again, these two teams have met. So we do have like a little bit of history when it comes to this game. But I'm excited. It's two programs that have come from FCS to FBS. And right now, on the back end of this season, man, we need to get ourselves in gear and get ready for a stretch run, and it starts with Delaware. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, you talked about the football piece of it, but just having the week off, how have you kind of had a chance to just sit back and refresh mentally as well as the rest of the team?
Yeah, you know what? You take it personal, right? And so you try to get the refresh, man, by just looking through a different lens. You're always looking through a critical lens, and sometimes when you do that, man, all you're looking for is the bad. Like when you're looking through the critical lens. And I had to look at, okay, hey, what areas of improvement have occurred? What things need to get better? And so it's sort of, half empty, half full there. But to me, I just felt like energy came through, man, just having a chance to just talk ball, like with our guys, and get back to, not being so overly critical, okay, like about processes and just trying to get our guys to understand, man, we just got to get better. Okay, a little bit every day, the incremental, because sometimes, man, you harp on so much of the things that got to get done that you miss the things that you're doing well. So you gotta be able to accent that too. And I think the refresh allowed me to do that a little bit more. Just, hey, we got things we got to fix, but let's make sure we keep doing these things well.
And you talk about going up to Delaware this week. Obviously, they're coming off kind of a rough loss against Jacksonville State. But when you look at this Blue Hens group, what just sticks out to you on tape the most?
Yeah, I think I talked about it, offensively. I think they can be explosive. I think the offensive line plays, well together. That's something that, I admire. We're looking at our offensive line, and we need to play better together. They play well together, and that's that's where it starts. It's a line of scrimmage game, right? When I flip to the defensive side of the ball, because I've already talked about their offensive weaponry, when I look at their defense, you look at Maul and Trainer inside, that linebacker crew is pretty good, man. I mean, they play a 3-3-5 defense. They do a really good job with their big guys up front of being able to cause havoc, right? I mean, it's sort of like watching Iowa State play a little bit in terms of what they do, and with those three safeties up top. They've always got somebody in the middle of the field. So where the field generally gets open versus them, it doesn't. And those guys are fast to fit. So I think they understand who they are. Their corners are sticky. And so they play a different style of defense. Now here lately, I mean, it's been in some close games. They've had some really close games, and they've had to fight and really play from behind. But the reality of it is they're still a good football team.
Coach, coming off the loss and then the bye week, what's your message to the team to hopefully get them going?
You know what? We hope is not a plan, right? Right. We talked about it a little bit, right? We just had to dig in and really talk about, for this football team, it gets better when you make it better, right? And we can't hope it. We have to make sure that the details of what we do, because we've been missing details, whether we talk about the penalties, where it's focus, details, and execution, right? We just got to execute better. Okay, we execute better in a lot of areas. We don't feel this discomfort, but part of the discomfort comes from our own doing, right? So you can't beat two teams; you got to beat one. Okay, and that's the thing. We were able to show them, okay, we are playing two teams. Okay, it feels that way. It feels so heavy that's why you don't feel the progress, because it feels like we're playing two teams. And I think they got it. They sort of dove into that. The practices have been good. We pared some things down so we can be more efficient. And when you do that, what you're looking for is the production piece. So let's go.
Obviously you guys know this, but there's little room for error if you want to make a ball game.
Yeah.
How do you and your staff emphasize that with the players without trying to put too much on them where they press too hard?
You don't. You got to get one, right? You talk about the things we showed where the conference is, and it's a year where anybody can grab it, but the opportunities for us have to start with the now, and it's just one week at a time. We're in a 1 week playoff. And so, man, you sort of have to approach it that way. You have to play that way. You have to practice that way. And that's sort of what we've asked our guys to do. Let's talk about this week, because this is the one we get, and this is the one that matters. If you're in a 1 week playoff, okay, you're not worried about 2 weeks down the road. You're just worried about the one you're in. And I think right now, coming off the break, the energy was good. The focus for these guys is good. Now what we got to do is go to somebody else's house and play, and I think we played solid on the road.
You're talking about the energy. What have you been seeing or maybe even hearing from your players on the sideline in practice that you really feel like they're ready for this play in Delaware?
I think they've gotten after each other, right? You get into it, man, coming off the Missouri State game, and, everybody's in their feelings a little bit, as they should be. But what you start to do is, man, you start to get between the white lines, and you start getting after each other. You start making some things happen, a little less brother-in-law and a lot more competition. And that's what it felt like. It felt like guys were going after each other like a little bit. And I think some of it was trying to get something off their chest or off their mind, and that's good. You need to do it between the white lines, right? And so that part of it, just seeing the competition is good. That's the one thing about, like, the team. The team has stayed in ball games. But if you want to win ball games, man, you got to compete at a better level than what we've competed at so far.
Talk a little bit about Nick Minicucci, and I mean, he is one tough hombre.
Yes, he is,
and puts up unbelievable
numbers.
I mean, really good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about how you have to. What can you do to kind of control him?
Yeah, control him, right? Okay. You look at him, and man, he plays. He's a dual threat quarterback, man, and who can do. He really extends plays, like in the pass game. His offensive line does a good job for what they do, man. But when he runs, if it's a design run, you got to tackle him because he's hard to tackle. Okay, so you got to get hats to the ball to populate to him. If he's scrambling, you got to be careful because you got to stay in coverage, but you also got to get him on the ground because he keeps his eyes up. And I've seen him attack teams in the mid range and even deep balls on the run. So he's a guy, man, who you have to play. If it's a 7-second play, you better play for 7 seconds. If it's a 4-second play, you better play for 4 seconds because he does a really good job of extending plays. And you talk about his production last week, going for over like 429 or something like that, passing. They started slow, but he ended hot. He got hot, and he got hot quick. So that shows that they have the ability to throw or run. The thing we've got to do is get off the field on third down.
With what you all were able to do from a self-scout standpoint during the open date, do you think we will see from a depth chart perspective, a different look on the field at all at any positions?
Yeah, I think what we have to do is continue to, look at the rotational players and where we are. But let's talk about it. Najee Cox is healthy. Okay, he was a little banged up after Kennesaw. Didn't necessarily have enough juice. Versus Missouri State, and now he looks good. He's back, but Amarian Walker has had to come along like in his absence, especially as he was healing over the last couple of weeks. So we've seen Cam Lacey come alive. I think it's got to be by committee. Like our explosiveness comes by committee, and the depth finally has to be on display for us because you talk about like changing depth chart. Yeah, you're going to see some of that. You're going to see some of it on the offensive line a little bit. I think everything's by committee right now. We've tried to compete at certain positions. We put ourselves in a position where there are more guys playing. More guys have had to play. Hopefully that helps us as we get on the back end of the season.
We have a question on Zoom from Thomas. Thomas, go ahead with your question for Coach Mason.
Hey.
In a lot of their games this season. How do you go about making that defense react to you and what you're doing instead of the other way around?
They are good at what they do. Anytime, and this isn't, these defenses like aren't new. We saw some of it from Marshall as well, in a different capacity. But when you start to look at these 3-3-5 structures, you can hide man, you can hide zone, you can hide pressure. And you can bring it from everywhere. So I think, like for us, formationally, you have to, do some things to sort of undress it and sort of pull some of the pressure out a little bit. But other than that, you got to make your runs hit versus a 3-5 or a 3-3-5 team, and you got to be efficient in the pass game and take what the defense gives you. So, like for us, I don't think it's always about truly undressing it. I think you just have to be efficient on first and second down so that your third downs aren't third and like 7+ a ton. Because if you look at their efficiencies, okay, with that defense and what they do in those situations, you don't like your chances a ton.
They have those two great linebackers. They have two long athletic safeties. How important will it be in this game to be productive over the middle of the field for 4 quarters, and how do you do that?
And production in the middle of the field sometimes can be hard to come by, but we have to force it a little bit, right? I mean, it's the concepts that you flood in the middle of the field. It's the things that you're able to put, in those guys' faces a little bit. And, some of it comes from eye candy, but some of it comes from the idea that, you're going to have to win your matchups, okay? They've got good players. We think we've got some too. What we have to do is be smart about how we deploy ourselves. So deployment's going to matter in this ball game. So when you talk about the attack, I can't give you the game plan. I mean, you can come sit in the room, man, but then I'd have to make you a full-fledged coach, right? So with that being said, we're gonna have some things for these guys like they'll have some things for us, and we'll see who gets after it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Go Blue.
Brendan, looking at Delaware's wide receivers, they've got a really good unit. What do you guys need to do to ensure that, they don't beat you over the top and have a big game on Wednesday?
So some of the things we faced so far is, communication errors or errors within the details of our process. So for us, we're just going in. We have a game plan. We're sticking to that game plan. We're sticking to the execution of that. So for us, it's just about communication, making sure everybody on the back end is on the same page, and just playing to the details of our coverages.
And then not just the receivers, but their offense as a whole. They're really balanced. They run for over 4 yards a carry, and then, of course, have a good passing game. How much more difficult is it to prepare for an offense like that can hurt you in a multitude of ways?
I mean, yeah, they have a really big physical offensive line. They have a really good experienced quarterback. They have an experienced guy running back as well with some talented receivers. So for us, it's about fitting the run up. And again, just playing into the details of our coverages. Most of the explosive plays that we've seen so far have been self-inflicted. So that's encouraging because there's things we can work on and we can communicate better and we can just play better. So for us, it's just playing to the details of our rules of the defense.
Brendan, you're kind of one of these guys in this modern era of college football. You've been around the block, been around college football for a while. How have these last 2 years at Middle Tennessee kind of just been different from you, from your prior stops?
I would just say you kind of look at things with a different perspective on the back end of your career. And you kind of just look to see what type of impact you can leave on other players or on the program. So for me, it's just trying to just empty the tank on the back end.
And have you seen kind of your role change to that more leadership, mentorship role as opposed to, I guess, previous years?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say our role has changed because I wouldn't say I do much differently than I've done before. I'm just a little bit more intentional about my process and everything, but it's kind of just more so you do the right thing, and if guys will follow you, then guys see that you're doing the right thing, then they'll follow you as well. So.
Anything else? All right, Brendan. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
How y'all doing?
Jakale, you guys have seen a little bit more success in the run here in the second part, latter part of the first half of the season, I guess, is how you would say that. Yeah. What's kind of changed for you guys, and how do you plan to keep that momentum moving forward?
I think our O-line is coming. They're coming together as they're playing as one. I think at the beginning of the season, everybody was kind of spread out everywhere. But now we're coming together playing as one, which helped me find lanes.
You've experienced Midweek Conference USA the last 2 years, but whenever you're traveling cross country to Delaware, it's a lot different. How does that change your preparation, or maybe how you do things from a week-to-week basis, especially when you're playing on a Wednesday as opposed to a Saturday?
I feel like you just got to recover more. I mean, I think it's a mindset. Going up there, I mean, it might be a little cold, but it's football at the end of the day. You got to play.
It's actually warmer there today than it is here. Just saying.
It was cold this morning.
Yeah, that's right. Talk a little bit about your ability to be a good pass catcher out of the backfield as well, and how important is it to you to develop that role and to be a versatile weapon and be kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of guy?
I think it's great being a running back that can catch out the backfield because it takes stress off the quarterback as well. And I'm just glad Nick trusts me to throw the ball to me and do things out of the backfield.
What do you think poses the biggest threat for you in your play, and obviously your offensive line, when it comes to Wednesday night against the Fighting Hens?
Can you repeat the question?
What do you think is going to pose the biggest threat for you in your play, and then obviously just offensively when it comes to their defense coming at you?
They have a strong defensive front. They 3-3-5, so that might be I don't think it's going to be a problem, but as long as we see what they're giving us, I think we'll be good. And they do have good linebackers. They see ball, get ball, so if they see a gap open, they're going to shoot it. So we just got to play with our eyes open.
Talking about their front seven, they've been really good this year at creating negative plays and getting sacks. For not just you, but you, Nick, and the offensive line, pretty much everyone as a whole, what's the key to ensuring you don't get behind the chains and not allowing them to make negative plays?
Penalties kill drives. I think we've been killing ourselves by penalties the whole season. So I feel like if we cut down on the penalties, I think we'll be good. We got to capitalize on third downs and score in the red zone.
Coach talked about having this open week and being able to watch more college football and see how other people are playing, around the country. What did you pick up and that can be helpful for this team heading down the stretch?
What I picked up is special teams can either win or lose a game because it's a lot of things that go on special teams. I feel like that will make or break a team.
Anything else? And guys, this is Jaquel Middleton.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
I blame Coach because I can't. Okay, hey, hold on. We got a question on Zoom for Jaquel.
That's great. I ain't
Go ahead with your question.
That's all.
Sorry about that. You're one of the better pass blocking backs. Can you just talk about the importance of that going into a matchup where you are facing a very physical defense and giving your not just protection for your quarterback, but just protection overall in the game?
Yeah, I mean, we always like run back room. Nick is the program, so as long as I keep Nick up, I think I'll be good.